Kids, good evening. I'm remaking Therapy Part 2. I had it posted, but I need to repost it because I didn't like what I turned out. So here it goes. I got up at 2:30 in the morning. I don't know what woke me up. I woke up, I got on the computer, Boston was on fire, I was stressed out, I was having social anxiety, I was having all this anxiety about my therapy appointment. I checked my news feed to see if y'all gave me some feedback, and y'all bitches were quiet, so I had to come up with my own shit. Meanwhile, I had to sit and figure out what I was going to dress like, what I was going to do. Gatekeeper had one idea, I had another. He won out. I wore Qigong instead of something crazy. Meanwhile, I took the bus for the very first time. We actually have public transportation, but it's kind of semi-weird public transportation because you have to call like 2 days in advance to get it. So it's odd. But meanwhile, nonetheless, public transportation, and it was fun. An interesting adventure. I got all over the county for $2 round trip. Imagine that. Now, just to get to where I was going and back from my house in a cab would have cost $25.50 each way. So the fact that I got all over the county plus places I didn't even want to go was amazing. Absolutely amazing. My new therapist, she's a sister. Okay, I got myself a sister. I love that because my best friend's a black guy, and now I got myself a sister as a therapist. And she was feeling me, and I was feeling her, and we had a great time. I made her get some chicken skin talking about ghosts. I made her laugh. I made her think. I made her feel like she was taking LSD sometimes because I'm just the Twilight Zone when I start talking. And that was really neat. We had a great time. I mean, sometimes she was talking, I'm like, girl, the look on your face makes me think you acted like you just took mushrooms. And she burst out laughing. She's like, you were too much. So we had a great time. She gave me a couple of, how do I say this? She gave me a couple of, a homework assignment, first of all, which is I have to journal. And even though I explained that I journal on video, she wants me to journal in writing as well. But she's going to watch my videos also. So we had an agreement there because my handwriting is really awful. And I do better journaling with video. She had an interesting observation for me, which was she said that I was like charming and brilliant and all these different things, but I also had this other side of me which was so really like, you know, depressed and sleepy and everything else. She goes, it was kind of like seeing like A and Z, and then she goes, but you're missing B through Y, which I thought was kind of interesting. So we're going to try to put B through Y together. I guess that's our therapy goal. And she also agreed with me that the cost of the medicine they were trying to put me on was insane and that I wasn't crazy. So I like that. We talked about sex. We talked about my job as a hooker. We talked about everything. It was great. It was so much fun. I really had a wonderful time expressing myself. And I told her some ghost stories that made her skin look like Colonel Sanders before the fryer. It was too much, too twisted for color TV. And that was fun too, I have to admit. That was kind of neat. So that's what happened. Now, then on the way back, the way there on the bus wasn't so bad. It was kind of expedited. On the way back, it was like the excursion boat from hell. Now, mind you, I got to my appointment 2 hours early, so I had to listen to news. I got up at 2:30. I watched on the computer what was going on in Boston. I watched it on TV took a shower, blah, 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 had breakfast, drank coffee, yada, 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 yada. Then I got on the bus, had to listen to NPR, talk about the news. Then I got to the appointment 2 hours early. I had to watch TV for 2 hours. They're still chasing this poor bastard around. So then I got out and I had to wait another hour and 15 minutes for the bus to go home, and they're still chasing this poor bastard around. And then I got on the bus and more news radio, and they're still chasing the bastard around. And they gave me this like grand tour of Citrus County, and they even went someplace I had never gone before. They went on this road. Now, I don't know if you, now, for those of you that are not familiar with where I live in this very rural county, and I live in Inverness, which is like the center of the government center. The government center, actually, the buildings are in Lecanto, but the government seat is in Inverness, where I live, on the eastern side of the county. And most of the people live on the western side in Crystal River and Wissahickon. So it's kind of a screwed up county. But there's this little town called Floral City, which is kind of southeast of Inverness, and I had to come up from Lecanto all the way through Inverness, make several stops, go up all the way into Floral City, make some stops, and come back. And there's this little cemetery called the Hills of Rest, which is this creepy little cemetery in Floral City. And I always pass by the front of the Hills of Rest, but I've never been to the back side of the Hills of Rest. And today on the bus, I got to go on the back side and see all the graves of the Hills of Rest. And I can tell you that it was interesting, because I couldn't tell you how many actual bodies I saw standing by their gravestones, kind of just like, really, bitch. Finally, someone's noticed. It was interesting as I was sitting in the bus going, please keep going. I don't want to have conversations with these people. Really, I don't. I need to get home. So that was cool. I finally got home. I got off the bus. I went and got a Diet Dr. Pepper at the gas station. They dropped me off at the end of my street. And I walked up 3 houses, and I have to go 2/10 of a mile up this hill to get to my house. And I got 3 buildings up, and it started to rain. So when I arrived at my house, I was moist. Almost to the point of drenched, but not quite drenched, but just really, really moist. Kind of like really bad sex. It's good enough to get you a little bit wet, but not truly gushy. Yeah. So I was in a fine mood by the time I got there, and after like 8.5 hours of not being at home, I was done. And my dogs were done because they had to go to the bathroom so bad. So then the poor things, I got in the house and I had to let them out in the pouring rain to go to the bathroom, and they were so desperate that they actually went out in the pouring rain, which they normally would not do, to go to the bathroom. So that was the beginning and end of my day. And then meanwhile, it's still, this drama is going on. Now apparently they got this guy cornered, or he's burning in a boat, or I don't know, they keep changing the story. But apparently, hopefully this drama is nearly over in Boston. And not for the sake of anything, but I've heard so many disgusting stories today, and I've seen so many disgusting posts about Islam and about Chechens and about things that people really don't know what the hell they're talking about. It's disturbing, and it makes a crazy person just wonder who's really sane, because you don't know what wisdom these kids have. They're just kids, 19 and 26. Give me a break. And they've been in the United States for over a decade, so it couldn't be that they're foreign terrorists. I mean, who becomes a foreign terrorist at 9 years old? Give me a break. 9 years old, you're just learning how to masturbate, let alone become a foreign terrorist. That's all for tonight. Have a good one. Ciao.